Welcome to Worldwide Business. I'm Kathy Ireland. Researchers are continually exploring factors that impact the aging process. One field of gene study that's making significant strides in aging research is epigenetics. Zymo Research is a front-runner in providing scientific professionals with quality, innovative tools and services that help advance the study of human health. CEO and founder Dr. Larry Jia is here to break down the importance of epigenetics. Welcome, Dr. Jia.
Thank you. Very nice to be here.
Now, Dr. Jia, can you please give us some insight into the science of epigenetics and the role that it plays in aging research?
Mostly we know the genetics, started the ancient times. We know Baba Mama give you genes. The start with Darwin, Mendels. We started to figure out the intricacies, the mechanisms, how a gene genetically works. In that times, also another theories from Lamarck. He had different theories about what's the difference between the genetic makeup and the environmental factors. So for last 150 years, mostly we're working around the Darwin theories about how genes genetically works. But the last couple of decades, it's turned to be that the gene genetic is not that fixed as we thought. The environmentals, how we're living, what we're eating, our lifestyles, also actually influence the genes. Their genetics is not so fixed. They can interact with your lifestyles, things. Genetics can be modified. So this modification is beyond the normal genetic concept. We call them epigenetics.
And can you please tell us how Zymo Research is helping drive research that impacts human health?
Biomedical fields, people have to be trying to be healthful since human developed, I think. And the ancient people developed medicines and cares. What's different in modern days that the technology development, the understanding changed so much that we can start to dissect the differences, what your parents give to you, what the environment is, our lifestyles, the substance we take, exercise we're making. What's the difference between these two things? So in genetic terms, we are talking about your DNAs, genes. And in epigenetic terms, we are talking about more how this genetics is controlled, how the environment really impact that, what we are eating, how much we sleep, what we are drinking, are we stressed? And these things actually started feedback your genes and started to influence your genes, how the gene works. So these are something we previously don't have technologists look into it. But the last couple of decades, technology become possible. We started looking into it. It's almost like Alice get into Wonderland. Suddenly you see a different world. Wow, the genes are controlled so differently than we thought. It's not so fixed. You can influence them. So this is what we are working on.
Oh, it's so exciting. And in this Worldwide Business Field Report, we'll learn more about how Zymo Research is advancing the study of epigenetics.
Epigenetics is not easy to define because we essentially translate the genome, one genome, into many different identities. And so it's trying to cover a very broad field of study that essentially covers regulatory mechanisms and how you can interpret the same genome sequence in many different ways. You could think of it as adding almost a template or barcode on top of your genome. So you have the same sequence, and now you cover up different areas in different cell types, and you essentially ensure that selective expression of certain parts of that genome is maintained over time. So a neuron, for instance, should never turn into a blood cell. And so essentially, both of the cells, the blood cell and the nerve cell, have the exact same DNA sequence, but they're using very different pieces of that. And you kind of want to ensure that that does not change over time. The reason you want to understand how that is normally done is because in many diseases, whether it's aging, cancer, many other types of diseases, these things go wrong and now become deregulated. And so in order to understand how the disease is essentially emerging, you kind of want to understand how normally these cells are confined to a certain specific expression pattern. So solutions that companies like Zymo provide will help improve global health and have an impact in general on human health, because they essentially allow us to do better research. They make the research more reproducible. And as a result, again, we can move faster and try to translate these findings from basic discovery into clinical applications.
Dr. Jha, could you please give us a little background and your motivation for starting Zymo Research?
The story is long, but I try to make it short. And my grandfather's doctor, my father's doctor, so I'm supposed to be a medical doctor. But after graduation, I realized that there's more things in fundamental science besides practices. So I started getting into basic research and instead doctor trained to be a molecular virologist. And the more I'm looking into all these fundamental questions, the more I'm thinking, wow, and there's so much fundamental things we can do beyond practice, take care of the patients. Right. And so by training, I'm a virologist. I go through many viruses and many institutions, started in Chinese Academy Medical Science, then come to University of Utah, and then come to University of California, Irvine, so many years. And so most of my life is research, understand science, and so that's what I'm doing.
And would you please tell us about the philosophy that drives Zymo Research?
Fundamental philosophy for us is that we believe in science, but bottom line is that I think humanity is working on towards some very simple concept, simplicities, and since humans started use tools and develop language, and we even, let's say, how to make fires. I think I want us to test everything. We invented how to make matches. Finally, we can have fire, boom, you get fire in seconds, literally. So, and the humanity is driving towards simplicity and easy to make lives. So we believe the same things in biomedical fields, that how to take care our disease easily get over, and how to get old graciously, how we can stay healthy. So we try to make things simple for our lives. Another example I can give you is how much transportation method we have invented. Now we are driving towards the future, automatic driving machines. So our philosophy in our research is that make life simple, make society's life easy, make people more healthy, make it approachable to everyone. So that's basically fundamental things we're really working on at the models.
The way that epigenetic changes differ from mutations in DNA. Mutations are something that are rather permanent. Epigenetics, it's more of a soft inheritance. Epigenetics can be affected by the environment, and so you can actually alter what gets passed on from generation to generation. So the difference between epigenetics and mutations in DNA is an important one. So DNA changes are pretty permanent. A change, for instance, that causes a disease can cause a change that's inherited from parent to children. Epigenetic changes can also be inherited, but it's more of a soft type of inheritance because epigenetic changes can be influenced by the environment, so the environment can actually influence what gets passed on from generation to generation. So my lab focuses a lot on the study of epigenetics in plants and on a particular plant called Arabidopsis thaliana. So Arabidopsis is the most commonly used plant as an experimental organism because it's very small and the genetics are very simple. Now it turns out that epigenetic pathways are so similar and ancient in our evolutionary history that they are very often identical in plants and animals. So we also study human embryonic stem cells as well as mouse for some of our work. And so essentially we will pick an organism, whichever organism we think will give us the most illuminating results, regardless of the organism. And often the results that we get will be relevant to all organisms because these mechanisms are so conserved.
And can you please discuss how Zymo Research views aging from a scientific perspective?
It's very complicated questions from scientific, but in a simple way that it's our concept, idea, technology development, and it's makes the epigenetic become possible. Roughly decades ago, the first time we sequenced the human genes, we know every our building blocks. We just form GATC base blocks make our DNA. With epigenetics, the sequence technologies, we know that the DNA is modified. It's not like just GATC. We call them have another blocks, the fifth base, sixth bases. The technology development make understand the epigenetics, how the modification works, how the protein works, how the RNA works. It's technology development. Then technology development drives the concept. Oh my God, how we get old. The old cells looks different from younger ones. Our skin cells, the epigenetic makeup is different from blood cells, our living cells. God, these cancer cells have so much changes in genetics. Why epigenetics? So much changes. That's why we call them cancer cells, because we can look at the cells. We know it's a cancer cell. We know it's normal cell simply by looking at its epigenetic makeup. So it's the technology idea working together makes it become possible. That's what we're working on every day.
And can you please give us an example of one of your tests and how the results help to illustrate the point that health is impacted by lifestyle choices?
No, we develop many testing. One of the testing we're very interesting is about aging. You are truly biological agings. Maybe you look at 25, 35s. Or maybe you say, I'm 35 years old, and it's chronological ages. It's really by each birthday, you eat 35 birthday cakes. But some people, they are 50, 60, they still have lots of energy, stay healthy, looks very nice. Some people still in 40s, 50s, they feel they are old. So what we are doing is working with UCLA together, and we develop aging clocks, your biology. Simply look into your epigenetics. Check your DNA, how the epigenetic modifications. You don't have to tell me how old you are. We can precisely almost 3 years plus minus tells you how you are really old. In addition, we can tell you, compare your very normal ages, are you really accelerated aging, or you stay pretty young, and your lifestyle somehow, your ways you're doing just make you younger. So that's one thing we are very excited, and we are doing very actively, testing that on humans and animals.
Epigenetics, it's a very interesting area of research, which first of all, it's a very fast-moving field where every other year there's major new discoveries. We're finding things that we, again, mostly because we couldn't measure them before, and so we've moved a lot into this genomics field where now that we can sequence DNA faster and cheaper than ever before, we can actually see a lot of these different details within the cell, how things are being regulated at an unprecedented resolution. And so it's very rewarding to basically be right at this time in biology, because you can read these old papers and you can see what they were thinking, but they couldn't measure it. And so a lot of them caveat their thoughts, well, this is how we think about this, but we can't actually measure it. And now we're at the time essentially in molecular biology where we can actually measure things almost at will, and we can actually edit and change them at will. And so that makes this sort of probably one of the most, probably most biologists might say this about their time, but this makes it certainly one of the most exciting times for us, because again, we really have all the tools available to ask these very fundamental questions. A lot of this has actually started in the 90s with the cloning of Dolly, the sheep, which again has just celebrated its 20th birthday. And so the idea was that you can actually take any somatic cell and reprogram it back to a different fate. And so, as we know, the sequence in the genome between the differentiated cell and the reprogrammed cells are the same, so there had to be something in place that keeps one cell different from the other. And so through these studies, I kind of got very interested in trying to understand what that difference is. What are these barriers that essentially keep a somatic cell stably differentiated?
Can you please tell us why you feel that Zymo Research is the right solution to tackle the aging issue?
We are not only solutions. There are so many bright people, so many bright institutions, lab. We are just be very happy part of it. Who will fundamentally give more impact? I think there's many frontiers in aging research. For example, some may be only tackling Alzheimer's diseases. Slow down Alzheimer's development. Some may be tackle more like aging graciously, slow down the cancer occurrences. If we can contribute to part of that ones to the society, we are very happy to fulfill our missions.
And could you please discuss the growth that you anticipate from Zymo Research in the coming years?
We mostly focus what we can deliver to societies, and what's the science academic needs. Historically, most of our customers, professors, academics, major institutions like here UCLA in California, Stanford, Harvard, Johns Hopkins, NIH. And from business point of view, we try to translate our works into that something useful for the societies. So we're expecting our fundamental research in cancers, agings, will have some positive impact on societies. And from business point of view, we basically can say we give some society useful stuffs. Yeah.
Well, before we close, Dr. Jha, do you believe there are some scientific breakthroughs on the horizon that will impact aging?
Absolutely. From all the different reports, from our own works, from scientific papers, all different informations, there are several major breakthroughs, especially extending our health lifespans. It's really holy grails in biomedical fields. Personally, I believe in 5 to 10 years, the whole community can prove we can extend the human lives. How much? Realistically, maybe 5 to 20%. It's really reachable things. It's no longer snake oil, something pseudo. And this is a very hot field. The community trying to prove in the next few years that all these models, these theories, ideas were working in humans.
Wow. Well, Dr. Jha, it sounds like Zymo Research has firmly established itself as a key player in the industry with your cutting-edge epigenetic technology. Thank you so much for coming, and congratulations on your success.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. For Worldwide Business, I'm Kathy Ireland. Thank you for watching.